So the full stats are coming out on Thursday, January the 5th for the Toronto Real Estate Board, and that'll show us all the data for the entire year of 2022 once the December numbers come in. I was able to get my hands on some of the charts so we can see where those numbers are going to come in at, just to get ahead of all the headlines. Now, these won't go over the home sales. We'll just go through pricing and we'll reflect back to where that pricing has kind of come back to from the previous months and years before this. I'm Michael Ouzas. I'm a realtor in the Greater Toronto Area, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below on what you think is coming ahead in 2023. If you ever wanted to book in a call with me, you can click that first link in the description down below. So here's the MLS Home Price Index, and we'll use benchmark price for the Greater Toronto Area. I do prefer median price, but in this option, we get the benchmark price. So Greater Toronto Area, we're going to go with the composite is going to be in red. In teal, we have single family homes. In orange, we have townhouses and blue apartments. And if I hover over here, we'll be able to see some price points. So at the start of January 2021, a single family home in the Greater Toronto Area was just over 1.1 million. The peak of that was up to 1.6 million in February 2022. And we're back down right now to about 1.276 million for a single family home in the Greater Toronto Area, which actually brings us back to somewhere in the September 2021 price point and ahead of where it was in January 2021. Now, if we look at the composite mark, we can see on average that basically sandwiches everything together, about 1,081,000 as a composite, with a peak in March 2022 of 1,335,000. And we're kind of back into that range somewhere between September and October 2021 from a pricing standpoint. If we go through on townhouses, we could see the peak here was March 2022 at 962,000. We're back to about 791,800 right now, which is somewhere in the range of kind of that October, November 2021. So we can see here like the up here, February, March, and then the decrease here as we go along. And one thing to note, like from August through December, things treaded a little bit slower, but pricing still came down along the way. For condos, we had a high in March 2022 of in April 2022 of 813,700. I thought that was a little bit higher there. And in December, 703,000. Still right around where we were in December of 2021 last year. And this is a story we're going to see in Toronto as well. So it went up here and then kind of right back there. But from where it was back in January 2021, probably right about in line if we were to do the 7% average across the board. Now we can see all the different areas of Toronto, Durham, Halton, Peel, Simcoe. This is the Greater Toronto Area, and York is, of course. We can do the same thing here for Toronto, and we can see here in February 2022 at the peak, 1,830,000. In December, 1,482,000 on average, which brings us back to right around that August 2021 pricing for single family homes. Composite standpoint, the peak was in March, 1,269,000 on average, 1,061,000 right now, and somewhere in the September-October pricing for where we're comparing to right now. Townhouses hit their peak in May 2022, which was just about 1,000 over April and about 15,000 over March 2022, back to about 846,000 right now, which brings us somewhere in line with that November, December once again. And then if we look at condos, the peak was in March, 840,000, back to 734,000. And that also brings us right about to November 2021 as well. So if we get a little tighter and go into a micro market of Toronto C01, it's not super micro, but definitely a sub-market of the city of Toronto. And this is C01 goes from Dufferin to Yonge and from Bloor down to the water. It's the major cluster, one of the major clusters of condos, probably the biggest one. If we think about condos, C01 definitely has a very significant amount of them. So from a single family standpoint, February 2022 was the peak, 1,847,000. And we're about 1,429,000. So you're going to see here that it's going to show an average price increase over November for Toronto C01 and right back to kind of where we were in October. And we're going to go back here and you can see this is fluctuates a good amount, and actually like August 2021 about the same price, and that's down from January 2021. And I took out composite because it was a little too tough to navigate there as it was filtering in through here. Townhouses 1,037,000, that peaked in May and down to about 852,000, which brings us back to give or take September, October pricing here, right around here. And then for condos, peak in March 2022 at 912,000, and we're about 819,000 right now on average, which has been hovering kind of where we've been since give or take September, up and down here. And if we look back here, we're looking somewhere in the price range of October, November, December from a standpoint of benchmark price. If we look at percentages on a whole, month over month, we could see all areas dropped as a whole for the Greater Toronto Area. And if we wanted to get into all the markets, this is what that's looking like for all the different types of properties. I know there's a lot of data here, and you can see here, some are up, some are down, most are down. If we go back 12 months ago, this is what everything's looking like over the course of 12 months. And if we go back 2 years ago, we can see here major gains in 2 years compared to 12 months ago and about 1 month ago. Now, if we look at the city of Toronto specifically, so anything with a 416 area code, you have the east, west, and central. You can see here all different percentages up and down depending on which pocket of the city you're in and depending on what type of property you're looking at. So I would recommend to take a look at specific pockets because they're all different and they're all performing a little bit differently. Now that's from 1 month ago. Now if we look at 12 months ago, we can see here some up a little bit, some down a decent amount. And if we go back 2 years ago, interesting, in the city of Toronto, there were some areas that have gone down over those 2 years compared to the rest of the areas that have done pretty well. And this is why it's so important to check out each micro market within the city and then micro markets, like every single little pocket within each of these, because then it'll tell a different story. Hope you enjoyed seeing charts laid out like that. I'm hoping that it looks a little bit easier to digest versus sometimes we get a little bit too much into our real estate jargon and talk about days on market and things like that, which are also very important. However, sometimes it's just easy to look at it from a chart perspective to give you a better idea of what's been happening in the market. I'm Michael Ouzas, a realtor in the Greater Toronto Area. Thanks for watching.